Well, y'all, welcome back to an extremely chilly day here in Florida, and this is nothing for what's coming over the next few days. So first off, y'all get ready to laugh at this Florida boy who does not know how to deal with the crazy temperatures they're calling for here. And I know y'all are going to be laughing because y'all are up there dealing with temperatures way colder than what we're going to experience. Now, I've got to get in get ready mode because here in Florida, well, our plumbing, our plants, everything's just not set up for these kind of temperatures. I think there's some stuff to learn in this video too. We're going to start out with trying to do some cold weather plumbing. Hopefully the glue sets up, and there's something I want to show you here. I got to redo all this that I highly suggest for anybody building a new home to seriously consider. So here is my main 1¼ inch line coming out of this tank. It splits and goes off to the house with a cutoff valve right here. Here is a line to where I can flush the tank out and just dump straight to the ground. And here's the line that goes and feeds, well, every faucet all the way around the property, feeds the sinks in the building. It feeds water lines all the way to the other side of the building, multiple faucets. So long story short, the last thing I want to have to do for the next several days, because we have so many days below freezing, is have to figure out how to protect all these faucets out here and drip everything. Just not interested in doing that at all. So the smartest thing I can do is put a cutoff valve in. Well, I already have one. Guess what? I cheaped out, bought plastic. Doesn't work. So this cutoff valve going right here feeding the rest of the property no longer will close. It constantly leaks by. So today what I'm about to do is dig up, cut this off. This line right here feeds the rest of the property. We're going to tie into it, and then I'm going to put a drain down here, a plug that I can open up. And I'm going to put a really nice brass cutoff valve in here. What I should have done to begin with. You get what you pay for. So what I'm trying to accomplish here on the really cold days, like what's coming up, I can close this brass cutoff valve feeding the rest of the property. Take this plug out over here, drain the line, get all the water out. Then I don't have to worry about dripping or doing nothing. No pipes busting, no spigots busting, nothing like that. And I'll just leave this one line to the house charge so we can take showers, use the restroom, things such as that. Now this should have been done, well, a while back and while the weather was warmer. I am just barely above the temperature right now for the glue that I'm going to use to actually harden up. We're going to try to speed that process up with a heat gun as well to make sure everything sets. But they're calling for rain tomorrow, and then those cold temperatures hit. So today is, well, the only day to accomplish this. So without a doubt, one of the biggest mistakes I see a lot of people make is prep work on your pipe. So I've got this new cut pipe. It's got rough edges. Take some sandpaper, go around the edges, and get that pipe clean. Get all the burrs out of the inside. This is a step that I never skip. And I can honestly say I have never had a failed joint before. You helping? You helping? It ain't playtime. Stop. Now, since I'm dealing with borderline temperatures here of what Odie calls for the glue to set up, I'm just barely above them. I'm going to heat my pipe up a little, but I'm going to be very careful here. I don't want to deform it. This should help the glue set up even quicker. But we're going to give it quite a while today since it's so cold. And the best glue made, in my opinion, is this Odie Rain or Shine. I have never, ever had a failed joint with this stuff. Press, turn about 1/4 of a turn, and hold. A lot of people really mess up on glue joints. They don't hold for about 15 to 20 seconds. If you'll put two pieces together, and now that you've got glue in there, it's such a tight fit, they'll actually push themselves back apart. So that tee I just put in has a threaded insert right here that I can put a plug in, and now I can drain my line. And I want to keep this as low to the ground as possible for freezing reasons, and because we have a hill here that slopes down. The lower I keep this, whenever I open all my faucets up back behind me, naturally the water will want to drain out right to this point. I could even put this beneath the dirt, but then I'd have to dig that out every time to use it, so I want to keep it just barely above. Now this pipe over here, I'm just going to cap it off because it actually ties to this way down there. I don't feel like digging it all up. We'll just cap it off right here, and my new tie-in is going to be over here on my faucet. I've got 1-inch line run everywhere, which is more than sufficient to run sprinklers, faucets, anything else. Most people run 1/2 or 3/4 inch. Another piece of advice that I can give, because I have sure learned my lesson over the years. One, use liquid thread sealant instead of that old white tape stuff. I just have so much better luck with this until it fails on you like this one. Let me go grab another tube real quick. And you know, that brings up another good point too. Always have spare of everything. I keep 5-gallon buckets full of all these different fittings. Actually, I bought 2 of every single PVC fitting that I'm using here today. And I do that anytime I go for a project. Always buy spares. Eventually I keep boxes and buckets full of parts. Keep backup glue, backup Teflon tape, because here we are rolling into Christmas weekend. Nothing's gonna be open around here, and we're dealing with record cold temps. If I have a line bust or something happen, and I do not have the part here on hand, we're in trouble. We're not using the restroom, we're not taking showers. We're literally gonna have to go stay with somebody. And that's hard to do when you have dogs and chickens and everything else. So the second point I was gonna make, anytime you have a threaded connection, like on this ball valve right here, always thread in your connections ahead of time. I see a lot of people, they'll actually glue this threaded end on, and then they want to start twisting on their ball valve, for example, putting all that pressure on a freshly glued joint. What's going to happen is that new glued joint hasn't set up, hasn't cured yet. You're going to wind up busting it loose, and you're going to have a leak and a failure down the road. Also want to be careful not to over tighten it, especially on a cold day like today. PVC does become brittle. Well, it is the morning of the storm just hit. It's supposed to continue to drop all day long. As you see, there's limbs all on the porch and stuff everywhere. We've had some pretty significant wind gusts, and it's chilly, y'all. Something weird that I can't remember ever seeing. So I woke up about daylight this morning, and it has dropped 12 degrees in 2 hours. Typically, sunny Florida, it warms up during the day when the sun comes out. It's been dropping like a rock. It's supposed to stall right now and then continue to drop. And I just got the latest wind advisory warning from National Weather Service on my phone. They're calling for 11 degrees tonight with the potential of single digits. Who cares? It's already so cold. And tomorrow night, 15 degrees. It's only supposed to get above freezing as far as like the wind chill goes once in the next 3 days. So that's just really weird for us here in Florida. But it is what it is. I know a lot of y'all up north are dealing with some way worse stuff than us. Ruger is loving all the limbs blowing around the yard and leaves. And he's loving this cold weather. He's been running around playing and having him a good time. He loves this cold weather. Don't you, buddy? So I just run to town real quick because I completely forgot to winterize our windshield washer reservoirs. I actually had one bust a long time ago on a really cold night. So luckily I found a store with some of this 0 degree stuff in stock. So I need to go around and fill all these washer reservoirs, especially the one on the back side of my tractor because it's the most exposed to the north wind. And it's just sitting out in the open on the back side of the tractor technically. That's the one that could potentially freeze and bust on me. Something else I got to thinking of, like my water pump right here. I probably had better have the drain open and get all the water out of the bottom or I'm gonna wind up cracking this pump housing. Yep, it was full of water too. All right, so I know a lot of you are gonna ask about this little guy right here. It is just gonna be way too windy and cold the next few days for him to sleep out on the porch. And because we're not really going to get above freezing during the day and it's going to be extremely cold, we're not going to put him in the house because, well, he needs some freedom. So we're going to put him out here in this processing room. It's nice and comfortable. I've got some heaters that I can run out here, although I'm seriously not thinking that I'm going to need to. But in the meantime, I need to go ahead and dog proof this room real quick, get things like chicken feed and stuff out of here, because I know he is going to love that stuff. And then what we'll do is bring his crate and bed and blankets and toys and all this good stuff out here, and he's going to get an entire room to himself. And during the day, I'll probably let him come out in the shop where I'll do a little bit of work myself while we're both getting out of the wind. Let him go play in the yard. I'm even going to put a little security camera out here so we can watch him from the house, make sure everything's good. And I'll be out here a lot checking on him. But this will give him a little room and a home away from home the next few days. Since I can't leave him in the house, he is not house trained, has no experience with it while I'm out and about through the weekend. So something I'm a huge fan of is heat lamps. And I've got all different kinds and sizes for what I'm trying to accomplish here this week. But I have always run heat lamps on our plumbing or around the plumbing throughout the winter forever, especially whenever I know it's going to get in the 20s or colder. And I've yet never have a busted pipe doing that. Starters, I have a special heat lamp, my chicken one, that can actually handle a bulb, 250 watt bulb. This is very, very powerful. I'm going to put this around my main plumbing. This puts off so much heat in a big area. You don't have to put it right on the plumbing, right on the pipes themselves and around my water filters, but it'll keep that area, well, it's many degrees warmer than what's going on outside. Not to mention, we're also going to run water throughout the night, drip pipes, because groundwater here is around 70 degrees. And if you can slowly bring it through the pipes and fittings, well, you're running 70-degree water through that. All of it's going to get much colder. The theory is to trickle or run enough water that the outside temperatures can't freeze it inside and keep it from flowing. I have been back and forth if I was going to put a heat lamp in my chicken coop. Seeing 11 degrees tonight with the wind chill and all, I think I had better because my chickens are still young, but I have a feeling they would probably be just fine without it, but better safe than sorry, I guess. So I bought one of these ceramic heat emitters because the last thing you can do is put a heat lamp in a chicken coop, not to mention, well, that's a huge fire hazard because those bulbs get so hot and the chicken coop's full of dry material. But the other big hazard is chickens love to peck, and if you put a glass bulb in there, they're just going to bust it. Now these ceramic heat emitters, well, they're pretty hard to bust, and they don't put off a ton of heat. As far as the chickens go, I think I'm just going to give them some extra bedding material, and I'm going to remove their water for the night because that's just going to freeze up. I'll put it inside where Ruger will be sleeping and bring the water out first thing in the morning. And I'll put some extra bedding in the little coop area. Now, as far as all this plumbing right here goes, we have exposed pressure switches here. Well, they absolutely can and do freeze up. I've had that happen many times before. So I'll usually put one heat lamp in this area. And then I like to put another heat lamp over on the exiting side in that general direction. Now, I can take this plug out that we just installed and drain all the water lines, go open every spigot out there, and they'll all drain back and out right here. So now what I can do is go to everywhere, open up a valve and listen to it suck air. And I'll just leave them open. So what's happening now is air is going into the pipe and the water is naturally feeding back down and flowing out of that drain that I just opened because everything on the property is sloping this direction. Believe it or not, your metal fittings is what I typically see split and bust before the PVC ever does. So any fittings like this, for example, that'll hold water, I want to make sure I get it out. And another very important thing, that filter housing right there, for example, well, it's full of water. We got to get that out. Things like this, get the water out. I've seen these split before too. So much to do. I don't know how y'all do all this up north. So one other thing that I'm really gonna have to look out for, I've already lost several citruses last year. We had one night getting the teens with the wind chill. It's just way too windy today, but here are some of my citrus trees. I'll have to come out here this afternoon, right about dark, and pray that the wind has laid off enough, and I'm gonna wrap all of these in frost blankets. Time will tell if they actually stay on. I use spring-loaded clips and everything to try to hold them all. But whenever it's this windy, if it's this windy in the middle of the night, you can about forget it. They're gonna flip up and over. And with us getting what looks like, I think 5 days in a row below freezing with a couple of teen days, I don't think my citrus is gonna make it. I just really don't. I'd have to put burn barrels or something out there, like orchard heaters, smudge pot, something, and run. I guess we'll find out. So now you can see all the water's draining out from the open lines and coming downhill from the shop. Whenever I see that stop, I'll put the plug back in, and then I'll throw dirt all the way up around this pipe to make sure it doesn't bust, because right beneath that, water will be in the ground. But everything up and that direction, at least above ground level, where it'll freeze, will no longer have water in it. Now, to save energy, I run my extension cord that goes to my heat lamps over there. By the way, one of my upcoming projects, I'm going to be building a pump house, and I've already got a wire run over there to where I can wire in a heavy duty receptacle for heat lamps. But that's a project down the road. But in the meantime, what I do is I run extension cord over to this outlet, and I hook it up to one of these dusk to dawn triggers right here, so my heat lamps aren't running all day long just burning up electricity. However, being it's not technically really getting above freezing tomorrow, I'm probably going to leave this on for about 2 days, then I'll swap it over to dusk to dawn, and for the next several days just let it click off and on and only run at nighttime. Okay, so this is probably my biggest area of concern: the water filters on the side of the house, the water descaler, and the lines going to the water heater. So I'm going to put 2 pretty powerful heat lamps right here shining in this area, and we're going to continue to run water in the house at night. Plus I have 2 faucets on the outside. I may even run a sprinkler, run them really heavy so there is absolutely no risk of them plugging up. We're going to be cold enough that just slightly dripping them probably isn't going to work. They will freeze up. And probably one of the last things I'm going to do is pack all this under sink plumbing. I'm probably going to drip this faucet heavy tonight too, but I think I'm going to put a little heater in the sink since I have a receptacle right there. Turn this on low since it's thermostat controlled, and have it just occasionally kick off and on and keep it pointed right near the pipes. This is probably overkill since it's somewhat a protected area, but it is north facing and getting all the extremely cold winds. I just don't know how cold it's going to get inside of a cabinet. All right, buddy, I think we are almost ready. What you think? What you think? Okay, well, this unprepared Florida boy thinks he's got everything where it needs to be. Vehicles and equipment protected. Trying to think of anything else that I need to drain. Plumbing's my biggest concern. I think we got that covered okay as well. I don't know. I'm actually going to run in here, edit this video real quick, post it in just a couple hours, something I never do. And if you can think of anything that I need to do, because it is dropping like crazy tonight and tomorrow night, let me know and I'll run out here and do it. I think I have everything covered. Sadly, we're just not prepared for this kind of stuff in Florida because it's extremely rare that it happens. Sure makes you wonder about this global warming, doesn't it? Yeah, we had record cold in October, And now we're setting records here in December, and we still have January and February ahead to see what's really gonna go on. Whew. I know a ton of y'all are going through way worse temperatures than us. Our thoughts and prayers are out for you. Hopefully y'all keep power and stay nice and warm, and you have some backup generators and sources to get you through all these storms. I know y'all have already been hit. We're kind of the last state to really get hit by this stuff, but we're gonna ride it out the next couple of days. I mean, we're gonna be okay. It is what it is. I just want to protect the things that I can protect. Thank y'all for watching. We'll catch you on the next video. We'll see you on the warmer side.